Welcome back. It's officially cold here, even though it's been like 80 degrees or hotter the entirety of fall. And now that we're heading into October, it's kind of cooling off, but I won't hold my breath because in the state of Oregon, you just never know when it's going to actually stick to a temperature. But I've been inspired by all of these beautiful fall looks I've been seeing, and I wanted to do something kind of different today, which is a little bit like a shop my stash slash dig up the old makeup items that I used to use that are buried beneath in the depths of the catacombs of my collection. So it's a little bit of shop my stash slash old favorites or makeup that I just don't really reach for one reason or another, and my thoughts and feelings on them. Yeah, and I just created a little fall look with this today, and it's not my favorite. Like, the blush with the eye and lip combo isn't what I would normally pick nowadays. And it's been really cool to see how my tastes have changed just by pulling out makeup products that I used to use all the time. So let's get started. We'll start with the not so out of rotation one. This is the Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer. This is an old favorite of mine that has been replaced with the Kosas Revealer Concealer and also its counterpart, the NARS Soft Matte Concealer, because I just think that it performs better. It's fine, but I wouldn't say that it's radiant compared to other liquid-ish format concealers with the doe foot applicating process. It's not as radiant as others that are in this application type. The coverage is fine. It's just, it's meh, to me now, and I wouldn't spend NARS is pretty expensive, and I wouldn't no longer spend the money on this again, unless this is your ride or die. I know some people are still so obsessed with this, but I'm pretty neutral on my feelings with this concealer now. I don't think it's bad, but I have things that work better for me in the looks that I'm trying to accomplish. Yeah, and once I use this up, I probably will not be repurchasing it, but it still does its job, and I should probably lean into this a little bit more and put it into rotation so I can use it up, so I can not waste any of the product that I have left, because it'll probably be expiring soon, like probably within the year. So I should probably put this into my rotation. And I should mention that I was using like the Ilia skin serum thing, and I had mixed it with a little bit of the Drunk Elephant De Bronzy drops. Anyways, to get it to match my skin tone because it was a little too light for me. And then I set it with the translucent powder by Ilia because I was looking a bit shiny even after I put on my concealer, so it was like a little too much. But as you can see, even now, it doesn't cut down your glow. It just kind of sets everything a little bit back, so you don't look so like greased chicken. Next, I took the Milk Makeup matte bronzer. Yes, matte bronzer. This is in the shade Baked. This is pretty old, and it smells. It's always had a smell. Like, everybody talks about this. What is that noise? Everybody talks about this product's smell, and as it ages, that's a weird Play-Doh smell. Just gets worse, and they would be right. I don't know if I want to use this again. Like, it kind of performed pretty lackluster compared to a lot of the other cream and liquid and even powder bronzers that I own. I used to be like pretty obsessed with this, and now it's really lackluster. Yeah, I'm just kind of like, Can't do a shop my stash for like old favorites without using my favorite liquid highlighter, which was the Becca Shimmering Skin Yeah, it's Shimmering Skin Perfector in the liquid version, and this is in the shade Opal. This is such a beautiful formula. I'm really sad that this is the last one I will ever own. And it just creates such a beautiful glow. It sinks right into the skin, and you look so healthy and glowy, and I just love it so much. Yeah, I'm getting through it though. Like, I'm probably about here in it now, which you only need like half a pump to do your cheekbones. Like, you don't need a lot of this product at all. It's pretty potent. So it being about halfway through is quite the accomplishment. But yeah, I'd repurchase it if I could, but unfortunately Becca is no longer a brand, and this is a discontinued product. Me. So this is the palette that my Charlotte Tilbury Nudegasm palette has replaced. This is also by Becca, so you can't get this anymore. This was limited edition, and two, this was by Becca, which is no longer a brand, like we all know, and that I'm always saying. Anyway, this is the Khloe and Malika BFF palette or something like that, and it comes with a highlighter, a blush, a blush topper, and a bronzy contour. And I think that these are very beautiful shadows. If you can see, they were domed, so you can see that I did get a lot of use out of them. And the contour bronzer, it's still super, super nice. If it came in like a single like pack, I would buy it. If the blush came in a single pack, I would buy it. And if the highlighter came in a single pack, I would buy it too. Like, they're very, very beautiful. The only shade I never really used was the blush topper because it was very pink and it had a very extreme gold metallic shift. So I found when it was on my cheeks that I looked a little too metallic and like just not the vibe that I'm going for. So if I ever used it, I would put it on my eyes and like a sheer wash on my eyes, but that was rarely. So that was the only shade that didn't get any use out of this. But these three, I was like, you can see that highlighter has quite it's like almost hitting pan. It has quite the dent in it. But yeah, the blush and bronzer in this is absolutely stunning. And the highlighter is very glassy, very ethereal, a very beautiful powder highlight. Becca, why did you leave us? Everyone loves the drugstore brand Milani's Luminoso Blush. At least back in the day. Everybody loved it, and I loved it too. It was so, so beautiful. But the thing that kind of got me into like the warm terracotta-ish, if you could describe it that way, kind of colors is in the same formula, but in the shade Berry Amore. This has it's a little bit more mauve than, yeah, it's a little bit more mauve than a traditional terracotta, but it is much more nuanced. Luminoso is very, very beautiful, don't get me wrong, but this is, it has like that earthy depth that I found works best on my skin tone. When Luminoso and other blushes at that time, people were super into like luminous peach or very matte peach. And when I wore peach, like, it was fine, but it wasn't my favorite. And I didn't really know why. I was like, wow, these blushes are really beautiful, but when I look in the mirror and I'm looking at like my makeup, there's something that's just kind of off. And the second that I bought this, I was like, oh, I need something that's more like an earth tone. This has a little bit more brown. And I used this today, and I think it's so beautiful. I topped it with the blush in the Becca because I love the luminous shift in that, but I just plopped it on the apples on top of this. But together, it creates such a beautiful, beautiful cheek. Like, that with the Becca liquid is, whoo-hoo, it's so beautiful. Yeah, I would pick it if you're looking for a luminous blush in the drugstore, and and you're not into like peaches and like you're not into liquids or whatever, Berry Amore by Milani, their baked powder formula, it's worth trying. Okay, so I had to talk about this. The Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance. I got this when it first launched years ago, so she's old. She's an old gal in my collection. And this is a good palette. It's not anything that I reach for at all anymore. Like, I don't really do looks that are in this color scheme anymore. I used to do crazy blown out red pink eyes and with winged eyeliner and like a liquid lipstick. Like, it was like 2016, 2017, like full beat, full glam, like drag makeup, and that's just not me anymore. Like, I like a softer look. I like a more natural look. Yeah, but it doesn't mean that this palette is bad. It's not bad at all. Actually, when I was using the shadows, I was like, wow, these are blending really beautifully. And I used the shades, oh, what did I use here? I used this white one, Tempera. I used Warm Taupe, and I used Raw Sienna. Yeah, and I just blended it so it created a little bit of contour, a little bit of smoke, because I was gonna be pairing it with another eyeshadow that's not in this palette. So I wanted it to be pretty neutral, if not a little bit cool toned leaning, which, as you can see, that this palette, even though it's essentially very warm, it does have some really nice cool tone shades. I actually really love the shade Warm Taupe. There's 3 shimmers in here, and you know, they're fine. I remember when I first got it, I always wet my brush when I applied it to the lid, because it made them a lot more, it gave it a lot more impact, I guess I'll say. But, you know, the shade Burnt Orange is an amazing color. Venetian Red is really, really beautiful. Real Gar is really beautiful. Like, all of the colors in this are by themselves incredibly beautiful, and the color story is really amazing. I have to say that I hate the packaging. It makes it look, oh, the velvet, like, ew, like there's so much like stuff just attached to this. It's alarming to look at. Yeah, it's just, you know, not anything that I would ever repurchase, not anything that I'm like, oh, you need this. But if you like warm cranberry tones, and I don't know, people loved it for a reason. It's good. I don't know. Okay, this is kind of embarrassing, but I wish I knew how to say this product's name. But it's Ritual de Fille, and it's their eye soot formula. When it comes in this very beautiful packaging, it's a little pot, and it's not, whoa, it's not necessarily a cream shadow, but it seems like it's more so like a pigment that has a lot of like oils and emollients to it. It's very hard to describe. And I would say that this formula is very, very stunning, and the only reason I don't reach for this and other colors in this formula is because of the packaging. It's so teeny tiny, like this teeny tiny little hole, and I'm a finger lady. When it comes to like emollient products, especially eyeshadows, I like to use my hands. I love the way it looks diffused with a finger, and I can't, like, and I can put my finger in there, but it gets kicked under my nail. It's just like, it's a not very convenient thing. And this is the shade, Exuviae, maybe it's Uve. It's spelled Exuviae. And I think this was their collaboration with Chelsea Wolfe, the singer. Anyway, I think this is really lovely. It's this very nuanced brownie red with some pink reflect in it. It's very, very pretty. And when it goes onto the eye, it doesn't spread the way you would expect it to. Well, every time I use it, like I always want to use it, but every time I use it, I remember why I never reach for it that much, because it doesn't spread very easily. And like I said before, you have to like I really have to like dig my brush in there for it to be coated. And I like to use some sort of pencil brush with it so that I can really like poke into the formula. It's not bad, it's just a little too inconvenient and persnickety. It has like this persnicketyness to it that doesn't like cooperate and do what I want it to do. But it does look very beautiful on the eyes. It's very good for a sultry kind of fall vampy eye look, which is what happened to me today. Your eye looks are never going to look bad with this, but there's a learning curve with this formula and with just dealing with this packaging. I just want to put my finger in it, and I've tried so many times and I always just make a mess underneath my nail, and I just wish it was just a little bit wider. Just make the hole bigger, please. I went ahead and put on Glossier Boy Brow and Lancome Monsieur Big mascara, because I figured with everything bold that why not make everything a little bit bold. Okay, so on to my lips. I always think of MAC bullet lipsticks when I think of my old favorites. And I never really reach for them anymore because while the matte formula is a really nice formula, it's just not really a look that I go for anymore. And all of my MAC nudes lean a little on the dead girl pale side. So I was definitely wearing Myth. There was the one called Peach Stock back when peach was a very like trendy thing, like before it turned into cranberry. So Myth and Peach Stock with, you know, like very dead girl lips, and then it turned into like my discovery of like brownie nude, like brown nudie pink kind of looks. And my favorite shades were Honey Love and this one, Yash. So Yash is this very beautiful nude here, and they have that beautiful vanilla smell and taste. Yeah, I mean, as soon as I put it on, I remembered why I don't reach for it so much anymore, and it's mainly because my tastes have changed. Not that I think that this is a bad lipstick formula or that I dislike the color, even though I do find the color kind of light for me now. I think because I am getting deeper with like the brown, cool brown undertones with my lips, like my makeup has definitely taken a sheer slash more 90s looking vibe as of late. But this, I felt like it was a little too pale for this look, and also it was just not my taste anymore because it was matte, it was a little too pale. Yeah, but no, there's nothing wrong with this. And I would like to maybe start reaching for this a little bit more, but at the same time, my tastes have changed and it doesn't really inspire me, and I don't really feel as confident when I'm wearing it. And I actually feel like I look a little outdated when I wear it. Kind of like anytime I've put on a liquid lipstick, like I remember I had like so many Kat Von D lipsticks, or well, liquid lipsticks before she came out with the bullet lipsticks. And I put one on just for shits and gigs the one day, and I was like, I look like I'm 22 years old. Like, I don't look my age. This makes me look kind of like juvenile in a way. And I realized, I'm like, wow, did I grow up? Am I a woman? Since I had vampy eyes, I decided to do a vampy lip. This is also by Ritual Defeat. And I bought this with the eye soot because it was in the same collection by Chelsea Wolfe, the Chelsea Wolfe collaboration, and this is their Enchanted lip in Swarm. Now this is kind of old, like not to the point where it's like smells bad or seems off or anything like that, but this used to be so much more emollient. And here's why I didn't ever reach for it. It was so emollient and so pigmented. Like, it would just, and I felt like I could never have very good control over it. But if you see it now, it's pretty, I feel like some of the emollients in the formula has dried up with age. And normally I'm like, oh, I should throw this out. It's not performing its best. But I think it works better now. As you can see, it kind of has this blurred stain effect, and it's this beautiful dark reddish berry with a little bit of brown in it. And it's very vampy, very fall. And I just think that this is better with age, actually. I mean, it could be expired now and they'd be like, oh no, that should actually be like way more emollient. It should be going on. But I think that this is nice now. I'm not one for like a matte stain. And if I'm remembering correctly, before, like, when it would go onto my lips and it would like kind of smear around and I could never get like a good shape, I guess you could say. Like, I couldn't shape it on my lips as well. And when I would try to fix it, it would stain. But now that it has less emollient and it's more dry, I can put it on my lips and pat it out with my finger, and it creates this kind of kissed, blotted effect that I really, really like, and I kind of go for with my lipsticks nowadays. And I have several lipsticks and lip products nowadays that first application or first swipe, it gives me this effect. So this one, you know, I think because it's so pigmented, you have to work with it a little bit more. But I think I'm gonna keep this out for fall. I dare say. I dare say I'm going to keep this out into the rotation. Yeah, I like what this is transformed into, more so than what it was when I first got it, because I was like, damn, that was expensive. But now I'm kind of like, oh, I see. Aging like fine wine. Okay, that's it. It's actually getting kind of brighter out and my camera's dying, so I should probably wrap this up. Yeah, those were all the products that either used to be my favorites, or I just unearthed them from the catacombs of my collection and tried to remember why I didn't reach for them. And yeah, I think I'm gonna keep that lipstick swarm out, because I'm really digging how my makeup looks today. Yeah, it's really nice. It's nice for, it's a nice change. It's nice to change. Anyway,